Hey guys, it's Max. In this video, I'm talking about the top 5 best features of the new Samsung NX1 camera. I've had this camera for about a month and a half and I really have been enjoying it. It's a great camera overall, and I do have it up as my recommendation for a 4K camera. I do recommend it over the GH4 in most cases for most people. Now, I've shot a wedding with this, different video shoots. I've done some photography with it. My wife has used it for a couple different photo shoots, and it's fantastic for the money. So before we get into the top 5 best features, I want to let you guys know, if you're not yet subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna have more videos on this. I already have some previous ones which you guys should definitely check out, and you guys definitely do not want to miss my video coming up on this guy right here. This is, like you probably guessed, the new Retina 5K iMac, and I'm putting it head to head against my Mac Pro, seeing which one is better overall and how they compare. This guy's maxed out and this thing's about $5,000 for that computer right there. So don't miss that, hit that subscribe button. So let's get into the video. Number 1 on my list is going to be the 4K internal recording. Now, this feature got a lot of attention to the NX1. There's not very many cameras out that do this, especially at a price point of $1,500. Its biggest competitor is the GH4, and the NX1 does have a nicer looking 4K image. It's more detailed because you're taking that 28 megapixel full sensor readout, compressing it down to the 8.3 4K image. It just gives you more detail to look at. The image does look better than the GH4s, and at lower ISOs you do have better low light performance. At about 800 ISO, your low light performance is similar to the GH4 at its base 200, which is absolutely fantastic. Number 2 on my list is going to be the 120 frames per second full 1080p resolution with full autofocus that is actually usable. I'll let that sink in there for a little bit. So this camera, the NX1, is just absolutely phenomenal at slow motion. There's no camera that even comes close that's at a similar price range. I would say the next camera up from it or similar to it would be the Sony FS700, which is about 4 times the price compared to this camera. That's just crazy. Typically you'll have either 60 FPS at 1080, or maybe if you're lucky you'll have a 120 at 720p. And some cameras you'll only get 60 at 720p. This camera does really good slow motion at full 1080p resolution, and the autofocus actually tracks well, really well, I would say. Now, the GH4 does have 96 FPS at 1080, so it's a little bit slower, but the problem with that is there's a good amount of detail loss if you're going from 60 FPS to 96, which basically on my GH4s, it stopped me from using the 96 FPS. The image looked quite a bit noticeably worse than that 60. The NX1, on the other hand, either if you're shooting 1080 at 30, at 60, or 120, the image looks the same. It looks really good, and I'm really impressed with that. One issue that we did come up with is there was some artifacting in the image because the bitrate wasn't high enough. And with the latest firmware update, Samsung about doubled the bitrate when you're shooting at that, which is gonna fix that issue, and that firmware is already out. So it's just amazing what you can get. If you need a camera that's gonna do fantastic slow motion and have a great looking image, this is it. There's nothing that even comes close to it at this price point. Number 3 on my list is gonna be the great sensor. Now, this sensor is an APS-C size sensor, but it has a couple of interesting differences compared to others. First thing, it's 28 megapixels, which not everybody needs a ton of megapixels, but this is the highest megapixel count out of any APS-C size sensor. Number 2 with that is it's backside illuminated, which helps it in low light. I'll just keep it simple with that. This is the largest sensor, the first sensor of this size to have that feature. It's really difficult to do it, but Samsung pulled it off. So basically what you get is the dynamic range is better than Canon cameras, even the Canon full frame cameras. It does really well, it's impressive with that. And the low light is really good as well for a sensor of this size with this resolution. Now, I've shot a ton of photos, and same with my wife, we've shot a ton of photos with the full frame 5D Mark II. I want to make sure I say that right. 5D Mark II, we shot a lot of low light weddings, and this camera, even though it's higher megapixels and it's a smaller sensor, actually performs better in photos than the 5D Mark II. And it's definitely noticeable. I haven't done any side-by-side tests, but from my experience shooting that and working with this camera, it's better. And that's really impressive for a sensor. Yes, it is a newer sensor, but just the technology is really improving, and it's really great to see that. So, and the photos in general look really, really good. So I'm really impressed by that. Number 4 on my list is going to be the autofocus and the frame rate. Now, while this camera isn't as good as the DSLR professional new cameras, their autofocus systems are better. It's still quite respectable what it could do, and compared to other mirrorless cameras, it does quite well. It tracks well, autofocus is quick. It's impressive. It's definitely usable for a lot of different shooting scenarios for fast focus. And the frame rate of this camera shoots at 15 frames per second, and it has full autofocus while it's doing that. So this compares to other cameras that are about the $6,000 range for the body alone. So that's really, really impressive that it can do that while autofocusing. So if you need fast frame rate to capture stuff, that is absolutely fantastic. Now the buffer isn't as big as I would want it to. If you guys check out my other video, the 5 downsides, I talk about that there. But still, for this price point, $1,500, that's really impressive. Number 5 on my list is going to be Samsung support. While this isn't a feature that I typically put on a list like this, Samsung has just really impressed me so far. This is their first camera that's semi-pro / pro-ish. Their first camera that's at a higher price point, reaching a different type of a market, not just people just getting into this kind of, interchangeable lens cameras, but somebody that has more money to spend on a good camera and good lenses. Now, this camera's been out for about a month and a half, and they already have had 3 firmware updates, which have fixed some issues, improved different things, added new features, and that's really great to see. I don't know any other camera manufacturers that have put out a camera and put out so much updates so fast, that have been listening to reviews, listening to their customers, and actually doing something about it, not just saying, yes, maybe we'll do something in the future, or promising something. They're actually there, they're working on it, they're improving it, and I think they have a really good chance of really making a big impact, really growing their market with their cameras if they keep this up, which camera companies should be doing this. It makes sense, but a lot of them, I won't name any names, they're just not doing it. So, this camera's been out a month and a half. Right when it launched, before it launched in the US, it launched in like the European area first, but they put out one upgrade, then they put out another one about 2 weeks later, and about 2-3 weeks later, they put out a third one, adding new features, helping the autofocus speed, improving the bit rate, just different things that I talked about. So it's great. I think they're going to keep supporting it, and they're going to make a lot of people happy, and they're really going to get a lot of people maybe switching over to this camera. I know a lot of other people in the photography and video market that kind of haven't thought about switching this camera, but now when they're seeing all these updates, they're actually caring about their customer. They're really kind of starting to get a little bit curious about the camera and considering it, which is awesome. Number 6 on my list, this is a bonus one, is going to be the price. I just want to remind you guys, for $1,500, you are getting so much awesome, powerful features. The ones I mentioned already, and other ones that I haven't mentioned. Just keep that in mind. You're getting a lot for your money. So to finish off this video, if you guys are going to buy an NX1, use one of my links in the description. I have a link to Amazon, Adorama, and B&H, whichever one is your preference. There's some different deals on there too you guys could check out. Sometimes they offer different things with it, so check out the pricing. If you guys buy through one of those links, that supports my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. It doesn't cost you guys not a single penny more, but it does support what I do, because these videos do take a lot of time and a lot of effort to put out. This is probably my 6th or 7th time doing this outro. It does take a lot of effort. After talking for so long, you start doing all these mess ups, etc. So my goal is to be able to make these videos full time. I would love to do it. So if you guys have not yet subscribed, definitely hit that sub button. And if you guys don't want to miss future videos on the NX1 camera, as well as other awesome videos, especially this comparison that I'm going to have coming out shortly. That's going to be really cool. I'm really excited to test out the basically maxed out iMac 5K compared to a mid-level Mac Pro. They're similarly priced there. So don't miss out on that. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys thought of this video in the description. If you have any questions, definitely ask. I'll do my very best to answer them. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.